Hey, good morning, family. Good morning, God's people. Happy Sunday. Happy Lord's Day. I hope you had a wonderful service this morning and fellowship with your community, the body of Christ. I'm just excited about today and what this new week is going to bring. I'm looking outside at the leaves in these trees, and the fall season is upon us. The dying season, the removal season, the getting rid of the old and making way for the new season. It came out earlier this morning, and my driveway and my front porch and back porch, my walkway was all covered in leaves. And so I, got my blower out and I blew all the leaves off to the side of the driveway and off the deck and off the porch and all those things. And I felt good about myself. I felt like I had accomplished something, and I went back inside, spoke with my wife for a while, and ate some breakfast, and just had a nice morning. And then I came back outside and it was like I had never like I didn't even do anything. All the leaves were back on the driveway, on the deck. And the temptation is to throw up our hands and say, oh man, well, what's the use? What was the purpose of doing it in the first place? And I look up at the trees, and a lot of them still have leaves on them. And it just made me think that this process is going to be a repeated process, a process of cleaning up and removing the dead things that need to fall off and be swept away. And then there's going to be more. There's going to be more things that surface. And this process, I believe, is going to be a continual process as long as I'm alive and on this earth. Sometimes I see the wind and the metaphor and the analogy, as being the enemy, as being an attack of the enemy, that he blew the leaves right back on to my clean and dry space, my cleaned area. But I think that even in that's a tool used by God. He's saying, you swept some of these things away, but there's still things that I want you to clean up, that I'm working on. I remember earlier in my walk with the Lord, in my young 20s, in the military, I started to kind of rest on my laurels, kind of take that assurance for granted that I'm saved, I'm righteous, I'm loved, I'm a child of the King. And in that resting, in that relaxing, I started to make small concessions for things that I decided that I wasn't going to do anymore. I started to make small compromises. I remember saying to myself that once I got married, I was always going to be a faithful man, that I would never cheat on my wife, I would never commit adultery, I would never step out on her. And it took a little bit of time, and that was my true intention. It's what I desired to do and to be, even as a young man. But my first concession was, I'll go to the club with my friends on the weekend, and just being there and looking at other women. And I said, well, I didn't do anything. I didn't cheat. I just looked. And then it'd be okay. I went and danced. I'll go dance, and it's just dancing. There's nothing immoral about that. And then it was, oh, well, we may have kissed or made out or did some rubbing or touching, and then I excused that. At least I didn't go fully into it. And then, of course, there was the first time that I cheated on my then wife. And the guilt and the shame and the way that I felt about it, it didn't feel good at all. But also it set up this way of thinking, like, well, I already did it one time, so what's the use of being good and wholesome and moral now? If I did it once, I might as well do it 10 times. And then that cycle of things just began to take over and over and over and over. And the Bible talks about that exact same thing, about giving the devil even one foothold.